This Ballooncast episode's been taken from the website brightside.me. The title is 7 Wedding Stories That the Guests Won't Forget Anytime Soon. Levels, intermediate up. Weddings are meant to be a perfect blend of love, laughter, and cherished memories. But sometimes things don't go exactly as planned. These wedding day disasters prove that a little chaos can make the big day even more memorable. Story number 1. Groom got up during the reception to announce that they, both 18 years old, were already expecting a child. They had purposefully gotten pregnant, so their parents would have to let them get married, and the parents were very ashamed and trying to keep it a secret. But after the groom so loudly announced it to everyone else, a brawl broke out between the families, each accusing the other's kids of entrapping the other. Story number 2. I attended a wedding reception where the waitstaff started to become generally distracting during dinner. They were sweeping the floors, spraying windows, creating more of a mess than anything. They would ask guests to move, interrupting their conversations and meal. One of the waiters even sat down and poured himself a drink. It was confusing and a bit appalling, but not as much as it was amusing. Turns out they were the hired entertainment. It created quite a buzz of conversation once we all had processed what was happening. I've never seen anything else like it. Story number 3. Best man starts off the speech with, "I've seen the groom with a lot of girls over the years." You know the cliche speech where he goes on to say, "But you were the best for him," etc. Turns out the bride and groom were dating long before the best man even became a friend. Essentially outed him as a cheater. She was super pissed. Story number 4. I was supposed to be the best man at a friend's wedding. At 7:30 a.m., the morning of the wedding, the groom called and said the wedding was off. It wasn't going to happen. I never talked to or saw the guy again. He was just gone. Story number 5. The priest during the ceremony kept calling the bride Elizabeth, despite her name being Kristen. The bride and the maid of honor tried to correct him, but he was so old and hard of hearing that he just kept continuing calling her the wrong name. This wedding also had the parents of the groom show up halfway through the ceremony. Story number 6. This was one I worked at. After the ceremony, right at the start of the reception, photographer was taking jumping photos of the bride and bridesmaids, so they were all jumping in the air while wearing heels. Bride landed and dislocated her knee, then passed out and kept going in and out of consciousness. We called an ambulance that turned up and fixed her knee, etc., but she wanted to continue with the wedding. She then had the first course of the meal and threw up down her dress and had to sit with her mom in another room while everyone else danced. Felt so bad for her as she spent the rest of the evening crying. Story number 7. The bride's father was 45 minutes late to walk his daughter down the aisle. While we were waiting, the air conditioning broke in the venue. It was over 100 degrees outside and humid. The place was overcrowded. You could barely move without bumping into someone else, and in the heat, that was extra miserable. I guess the air conditioning problem had also affected the refrigeration or something because most of the food was spoiled. The only food on the buffet was salad, spaghetti, and rolls, not enough to feed even half the guests. Most people laughed after the first dance. 2 of the bride's aunts fainted. The bride and the wedding planner were crying.